It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and a piercer talk about some of the more common questions and topics that those that collect tattoos and piercings and do them may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Today's subject, we're going to talk about tattoo and piercing trends. Should you follow them? Should you avoid them?
What if?
What if? Do they have longevity? All that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But we should probably introduce the people that are here today. Jimmy, still out going to see the rock show.
Still gone.
Still gone. Capone is here in his place, but he's not very talkative on most subjects. But right here we have Jack Lowe from Skin Kitchen Tattoo, the owner and tattoo artist there. I'm DaVo, Axiom Body Piercing. I'm a piercer. And then over here is Brent Starr. He tattoos at the Kitchen of Skin.
Yeah. What's up?
So tattoo trends. So we should probably name off a few of them, like tribal in general or neo-tribal.
Well, what is a trend? What
tribe?
describes a trend exactly?
It's something that suddenly takes on the human imagination to a point where everybody wants a piece of it. It's like the Taz. Like everybody and their brother wants a Taz and at one point in time. But it's one of those things that because it is a trend, it gets to the point where it becomes unhip and oversaturated.
Right.
And then it becomes a joke.
Is that the place you want to be?
Kind of like hair metal.
Yeah.
You know, hair metal, like when it first came out, it was, exciting, new, and a lot of fun.
You fucking dick. You took it right to hair metal. It had to be about music and how punk is so much better.
I'll tell you
don't want to get me started on punk, DaVo, and you know it.
Punk went through the same nonsense, too.
Oh, okay.
Look at grunge. Grunge is just punk rock with a different label.
Kurt Cobain alone.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying is that it will always have a point where people go, man, and they'll start saying things like, back in my punk phase.
But there's always going to be people like you, DaVo, that hate it just because people like it.
No,
That find the part that makes everyone look silly for liking it and makes you superior to them. There's always going to be something.
Come on, let's face it. A lot of that early stuff was entertaining.
Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's entertainment. But then when it got to the point where you had 8 million of them on MTV doing exactly, 5 power ballads in a row, people went, I'm kind of sick of this.
You're right now. It's the same thing, right? Like, okay, buddy, you decided you were going full on hair metal band, hair metal rock star.
Yeah.
Are you going to want to be there in 2020? When a lot of people, we'll say some people would look at that genre and say it was silly, and anybody involved, should be in some way discredited for it.
Like and the only reason I think this popped in my head is I just watched a documentary on
you either
Paramount,
own it or
Paramount Plus. It was like a 3-parter on like the rise and fall of hair metal.
Okay.
And that was like, and the guy that seems to have gotten the worst of all of it.
You get him, Pone. Yeah.
Was Winger. Like Winger became the butt joke, but their stuff wasn't any worse or any. It was actually some of the better stuff.
Well, now look, you have to admit that if you aren't interested or really involved in a genre of music or really anything, you don't see the intricacies or the subtleties between different bands and between different songs because you just don't like the overall sound of it. Well,
there's a huge difference between like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses. I can see the difference between that.
Right.
One is more metal, and the other one's more in that direction of glam, in my opinion. More
between
just
Guns N' Roses and who?
Dirty rock and roll.
They're
Motley Crue.
Well, yeah, Motley Crue definitely. Man, when they came out, they had a very heavy glam icing on that. And, and that's because, that's what would sell, or they thought that would sell. They were told, hey, do this and you'll make some money and you're going to get laid, guaranteed.
And so that's the whole point of it.
And that's following that trend. And do you own it 20 years later, 30 years and go, hey, man, that's part of my life. It's who I was. Doesn't represent who I am now, but that's not what my tattoos are about. They tell my story, bro. But or is it more of a t-shirt?
At the same time, it does represent you.
Yeah.
Because let's
Yeah,
face
yeah.
it, if
Yeah,
you
it
don't
was-
go through those periods of life where you're discovering new things,
Right.
which is most of us is that teenage period where you're in early adulthood where we're kind of figuring out who we are.
Yeah, you're making mistakes and figuring out if that works.
If you don't have that to say, hey, I did this at some point.
Right.
Because we've all done things that are embarrassing.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a chapter in your life. So,
Yeah. And in that sense, you're not into Stay Puft Marshmallow Man anymore. But you know what? Every time I look at that, it reminds me and keeps my ego in check and reminds me that to judge someone is stupid. Because if you look at something that's stupid someone else is doing, it could possibly 5 years down the road, that could change your life and you will love it and become the best at it. Just because at that time you can't understand what that person sees in that doesn't mean that is stupid. That just means that you're not getting the same reaction. You're not getting the same fulfillment or the same give from that as they are. Mm-hmm. And maybe one day when you change from fucking up and learning and changing and looking back and going, boy, I was an idiot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just the way you thought that guy was an idiot, but he's not. You're just not getting what he is getting out of that experience. So there's always, I think, going to be those people that are going to judge to make sure that they feel right about stuff and not go, hey, man, I was that guy and I felt that way. Yeah. And I grew and I learned, and I hope that they do the same thing, not judging them and labeling them as you are that person. Because chances are you have been or are or will be that person at some point in your life.
The way I look at it is to each their own on that, preference on the style thing. Because,
totally.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some tribal that's, it's
tribal.
It's part of the tribe that I was in,
I have a giant lizard on my
It's a beautiful
on my cat.
lizard.
And it is a slight different change of something that I found I probably saw for the first time in Modern Primitive, which is a connection to that period of my life and what I was into and what was inspiring me. Right. So I think when it comes to trends is if you have that connection to that.
Yes, exactly.
Like if you're getting a Taz in 1993, is Taz your favorite character? Is it something you relate to with your friends and family? Is there a connection to it?
Because really at that point, it doesn't matter what it is.
No.
Really.
Yeah.
And are you getting it because that's the coolest blinged out T-shirt with the frickin' upside down leaf thing on it that, so people think I'm cool if I get this? Or are you getting it because, maybe your father had a tattoo of that, or it represents something that you accomplished, or, because that can never go out of style.
No.
Ever, ever, ever. And that doesn't mean that getting something because you like the way it looks on you is wrong. What does that mean? It means nothing. It's like looking at a hot rod. I tell people, when people are like, what does it mean? I go, have you ever looked at a hot rod that has a fucking flame job on it and asked what the flames mean?
I know.
Yeah. I think another point of view of looking at this is especially in the World Wide Web kind of stage that things get put in on the viral, trending kind of things. Somebody sees something, it's like, oh man, I really like that, and I'm going to do that. And then, 20 people see their post, and, that's that,
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
It kind of just takes off. And then, then you have people doing something, they may like it, but are they doing it because everybody else is doing it?
It's the difference between when you first see something, and the reason why certain things make such a giant impact on culture is it's very unique. Yeah. And it's in that one spot where it's very unique.
The novelty of it.
Then you build off of that, and within a couple of years, it's no longer unique. Mm-hmm. It's commonplace.
And if you see people that you feel don't represent you liking what you like, you will push it away. No, what?
I find that hilarious.
Is that wrong? No, it's exactly how it happens.
It's how it works.
Yeah, it's why you're so anti to fucking everything, because you hate everyone, and there's someone out there that likes everything, so you have to hate everyone. It's a vicious cycle.
I like misanthropy.
But, it's people just... don't know who they are and what they want. They look out and go, people like that one? Is that what people, that's the thing? Okay, I want one. Why? Well, because that's what people want, and I'm a people. So you are just a copy of that person. You don't even know who you are. You don't know what you want. You know, so you are always, I think, set up to not connect or really, truly connect with something.
Fashion,
a tattoo or anything.
Fashion is for people that have no style.
Boom.
I don't know who says that.
To be told,
It was probably really cool.
Super smart.
Yep.
it's tribalism to a degree. And that's where this whole like philosophy of like, well, we're not that person. No, they're into this, and I can't be around them.
Yeah.
The reality is I just tend to be over opinionated about said things.
We have a strong opinion about things.
Yes. And I've always tried to make sure that I experienced it before I had the opinion of it.
Right.
Of course, there's certain things that I will not do because I know I'm not going to enjoy it, like heroin.
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's not even the actual thing of doing it. It's more the aftermath and all the life destructing things that I've seen people go through.
Yeah.
So that, I have a strong opinion on, but I'm not going to try that. But musically, it never failed. When I was as a talent buyer and I was putting on 30 shows a month and all this other nonsense, people would always come out, I can't believe you booked this band. This band's totally not you. And
I'm blowing your mind, aren't I?
I'm like, you know what? I listened to it and I saw something there, even though it's not what I seek out personally. I knew there was something there that people would enjoy. My job as a talent buyer is to expose you to that.
Am I stopping you, sir, from booking bands?
No.
Am I getting in the way of you booking whatever band you would like to book? Yeah. Then shut up.
Yeah, it's like I've always said this, like, and the thing is like with trends and so forth, it really comes down to your motivation behind it. You know, even if you're trying to emulate some artist and get a tattoo they have, you have a connection to that artist, and that's why, or athlete, or I don't know, NASCAR driver, or I don't know, sumo wrestler, whatever it is, you have a connection to that, and that's why you want that tattoo.
And some people recognize that when they get, small, trendy, or silly seeming tattoos. I think those people understand that I know that there may be a certain level of regret, but any level of that is overridden because of what it means to me.
I was there at that time, and
I don't need to justify that to anyone. I don't need to explain it to anybody. Nobody even needs to care about it, but they will. But when they do, who frickin' cares? Yeah. Then, that's all that matters. But there's a big population of the people that, oh boy, does it matter.
The trendsetters.
And can get talked into, and I've seen it firsthand. People get talked into changing their tattoo, getting their tattoo removed, totally altering what they wanted, all because of outside opinion. Well, you're going to be disappointed with that tattoo no matter what you get now. Mm-hmm. You are going to regret that tattoo at some level no matter what it is now, because you've taken away from it meaning anything to you and representing what you see. It's important that other people see you as a certain way. So you want to incorporate that. Go, see, I'm who you think I am. Look. So it does. You can't connect with that.
Usually when I have somebody come in with something like lately anymore, it seems like, just like the single line kind of, no shading kind of smaller tattoos seem to be pretty popular right now. As long as I know what that person thinks looks good, I just have like a inkling of an idea, like by seeing the 3 pictures, okay, they're all just line tattoos and they're all very small. Let's do it. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah. Because in the end, I want them to be happy with what they got.
Sure.
Is it my cup of tea? No, not at all.
Yeah. But is it your job to tell them or inform them?
No.
No.
Yeah. Not unless it's going to look terrible.
If it's what they like, it's what they like. I don't question that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's part of the
Yeah, well, as far as the image, yeah, but I mean, as far as like, if a young yes, I know, I'll get to it. If a younger person comes in and wants something, is there a placement or anything that would make you feel that you would have say something?
Oh yeah, sure.
So,
placement wise, yeah,
right.
Because sometimes you just you want to have it the tattoo sitting in the right spot. You don't want to put like a little tiny little star on like a large area like right here on the arm or something.
Right. Center in
Right.
the middle of the forearm.
Yeah, just somewhere where it's going to look the best.
Yeah, for sure.
So steer in that direction, yeah, for sure. But
yeah.
As far as what is trendy and getting really popular.
Yeah. Right.
It's
that's you're
a mark
right.
of time, kind of.
It's
in
bad.
A way.
It would be, I think, considered bad taste to go, oh, I just did 2 of these earlier. Because why would they care? They shouldn't.
Right.
They're getting a tattoo. Why would they care if everyone had one?
Yeah.
If that's the reason they're getting it, then they know it.
Sure.
And if they don't know it, they obviously just like the design.
Yeah.
So, I guess you can pick your level of responsibility in there and justify it however you see fit. But yeah, it's a tricky one kind of sometimes.
Personally, I think what part of it is, especially people are easily talked out of things.
I know, yeah.
Is they're worried about what it says about them more than what it really means to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's entirely like the most common thing is like stereotypes.
Yep.
Like, the reason why ass antlers and, tramp stamps got out of fashion is because even though they're beautiful tattoos and they fit really well in the human form and they look great, they got the stereotypical kind of like winger that it said something about the person that was wearing it that maybe was true or maybe wasn't.
It's the Nickelback fallacy.
Yeah.
No, it seriously is. Where did the Nickelback hate come from? It wasn't a universal hate of their music. It was one person online on a podcast compared Nickelback music to being like the worst thing ever. From there, mathematically, statistically, and in factual science, that's where the hate came from.
That's a meme.
Yes, it's a viral. It's a viral opinion.
Right.
That man, it's funny to believe this, and that's what I'm. Yeah, man, they suck, and it brings people together in a way. Mm-hmm. But it demonizes an innocent party. Not that I like Nickelback or anything, but just pointing that out that realizing why you think a certain way is very important, especially with something that's going to last until the day that you pass away.
Because that's why it's just like what I was talking about with Winger.
Yeah,
that all came from Beavis and Butthead.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of weird to look back and go, yeah, that really set that whole trend. But that it's that meme effect of they constantly made fun of the other character that was in the Winger.
And they adjusted the opinion of an entire country, if not the world, just
had nothing
by
to do with their music or anything else.
Mike Judge is a genius.
Oh, well, yeah. So really kind of looking at yourself and asking yourself, why am just to the core of why am I getting this? Because I think John's going to think it's cool, and I like John, and I like John to like me, and this will make him like me, or is it something because of your own reasons that you can't even explain, and why would you? And it's not about you. It's about me and what I want to see when I see this. Being honest with yourself and understanding why you're getting it, I think will get rid of pretty much all possibilities of, oh shit, what did I do down the road?
And the fact that something's trendy usually is just off the table. It's not even...
Unless you realize, hey, Mountain Dew was, on the beach that year when I went on spring break. There were these Mountain Dew signs everywhere, and my friend fell into one and got wrapped up, and we didn't know where she... I got a Mountain Dew logo on me. But, everyone in the world I know is not going to know that story. No. But I don't care. If anything, they'll say, why do you have a Mountain Dew logo? And I can share that story because it's so fun and I loved it, and I will have that forever. I never want to forget that moment. It is a snapshot that I can't forget. So you don't have to justify that.
I draw the line at Mountain Dew tattoos, though, man.
It's just poison. You don't want to drink
I don't
this
know.
stuff.
And it's the difference between and maybe growing up in the punk rock scene, seeing how you wanted to bring that up earlier.
I brought it up. I believe you attacked
But
hair
I think
metal.
this is even. I think
sir.
this is even in hair metal. Is you say, hey, this is how I want to look.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Right.
Then later on, the people that come into it, because there's just as many in punk rock or any other youth movement,
Sure.
and whatever nonsense they want to call it,
Right.
that come in that they are looking to belong to something and be a part of something, but they don't do it for themselves.
Oh no, to belong, to feel strength, to be a part of what is right. You know what you've convinced yourself is the noble cause. You want to have those people that you look at as noble and represent that cause as their same, as their equal. So you have to decide
and
what
those people normally don't last. They're going to be the
Nope.
first rats
It's
off the ship.
Back to
Absolutely.
tribalism.
Yeah,
Yes. They're going to be
because-
on to the next thing.
because they don't want it, because they don't have any idea what they want, because they haven't even got the sense of family and belonging, or because they've been bounced around. They're trying to fit instead of going, wait, who am I? Where do I fit?
So does that make all trendy tattoos at the moment tribal tattoos?
Yeah,
In a way, yes.
Yeah, it really does.
and there's piercings that go through trends, like
Oh,
part-
yeah,
it's
totally.
kind of weird with piercing. I think like one of the reasons why the nostril piercing took off as hot and heavy as it did in recent years was just the general public acceptance of that
Yeah.
piercing.
It got looked at as a beautiful thing, not a
Yes.
thing.
And it wasn't no longer considered something that only weirdos in LA got.
Main culture, baby.
Yeah. It isn't like, rockers and, people with Jane's addiction and, those people are the ones
Yeah.
that got those done. And it's the same thing with a lot of different piercings, like especially those that were there. People had this perception that if a person had that, they were going to be a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with women, and this is a society that judges women the way we do. But yeah, if you have your tongue pierced, that means you're into doing something.
Yep.
Or if you have your nipples pierced, and a genital, oh my God, you're just
That's the
total-
lower back tattoo.
Yeah, and that's lower back tattoo. It's
Yeah.
all made up bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an opinion that, if I don't believe that, then I'm going to look at by the people that I want to respect me a certain way, even though I'm not a terrible person. I just happen to have my own beliefs, but I'm going to be demonized. So I'll just go along. It's not worth uprooting this family structure I've built that is stupid and means nothing because I can't even be myself. So they're not my family. They're kind of a made up. That's what I see as wanting to be my family. Why don't they respect me? Why don't they understand me? Why aren't they there for me? Because they don't even fucking know you, because you don't fucking know yourself, because you've
Yeah.
been pushing away the people that you actually connect with, because you haven't been honest with yourself about who you are.
Or honest with them of
easy.
who exactly you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Honesty. Just honest
It's
with
like we
yourself.
always talk about, the craziest person that would be in the crowd wasn't the guy with the 14-inch mohawk and the giant belt of bullets around their wrists and spikes that were 14 feet long. It was the really quiet feller in the corner with like a button-up, golf shirt and like tacky pants and maybe some steel-toed shoes. That was the guy that was going to cause problems.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's the one you got to look out
It wasn't
for.
the guy with the big mohawk and everything. He's just going to ignore or annoy you. Because nothing sucks more than standing behind those people.
Oh, I know. It's like, you know they did it. They
It's
put
like,
an extra egg in there just to fuck with you.
Just sit there and slap them back and forth. Anyway,
Yeah, and it didn't do anything.
they'd fall down eventually.
Well, I guess that would.
So I guess it really depends on how you connect to that culture at that point in time.
Yeah.
And to a degree, at some point, there is going to be a level of nostalgia for all these things that were considered trendy and then passé, like Taz tattoos, tribal tattooing, the navel piercing. I see it slowly coming back with teenage girls, which means that trend's coming back.
Yep.
It was at a point where it was just like, everybody has their navel pierced. Let's do this because I'm more extreme than you are.
And that's I'm individual. I'm not with the mainstream. I'm different like everybody else. So it gets pushed away.
And the interesting thing about nostalgia is it's usually people that were never from that time that have a complete misrepresentation of what it would have been like during that period of time.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't know how many people I knew that wanted to live in the 1950s. And I'd look at them and go, you would have been driven out of town on a rail the way that you are right now in the 1950s.
You wouldn't have been allowed to exist.
You would not have a job. You'd be starving to death, and nobody would be having sex with you.
Right.
That's not the 1950s in reality. Reality was it was very conservative, very oppressive in a majority of the country. Not wild and crazy. Exactly opposite.
And it was awesome.
Yes,
we weren't in a lot of debt, and people liked each other way more.
We bombed the entire world, so we were the only ones manufacturing and making it.
They had that coming.
Yeah. Germany and Japan kind of asked for it.
Well, that's a big package to unwrap there. I think. Not that I'm defending anyone, but
kind of caused it.
I can't pretend to know all the ins and outs of what it takes to kill millions.
So what I'm saying is that they're going to have. I think at some point that stuff's going to come back. And it's going to come back really hard. And it's going to be slightly different, but it's going to be that kind of same kind of thing, mainly because they've seen that on their parents. They've seen that in old photographs. They kind of, just like me calling back to the Americana stuff when everybody was getting fantasy stuff and all this other like dragons and castles and so forth and neo-tribal. To me, it was like, no, Americana. I want those American symbols like the old tattoos.
Yeah.
Because even though I didn't live through that period of time, but that was what I saw as a child.
But you connect with it.
On uncles, yes.
Reminds me of my family, my heritage, whatever it is.
It's all reciprocate. It goes around in circles. I mean, no matter what, history will repeat itself. And, I mean, like, you just wait till it's back in style again because in about 50 years, it's going to be.
Well, they always have to have something, part of it is they always have to have something to sell you. And if they don't have any new ideas, they'll just go, oh, these guys haven't really been exposed to this at that age. Boom, and they'll just bring it out until they think of something better, and it rolls into something else.
Like women's cut pants that come up to your armpits.
Yeah. There's no reason for those to exist. Yeah. But you've been forced to believe that wearing your pants up to under your boobs is somehow a good look. Yeah. It's not. Stop it. It's stupid. When they first came out in like the 80s and stuff, it wasn't a good idea then. Just like, and I know... come at me. You want to fight, bro? Bell bottoms. There's no good reason for those. They're ridiculous. It's extra, dirt picked up, and it's dumb. They tried to bring them back.
I'm waiting for the poof to come back.
The poof?
The
the
cootie catcher,
the dish, the radar.
Yeah,
man.
I'm glad it hasn't.
That was something.
It's always weird to me because it seems like every about 5 or 6 years, I'll have somebody that's way young, like 20, 21. Come up to me and compliment me on like, I really like your jeans. And I'm like, yeah, these are the same 501s I've been wearing since I was 16 years old.
I was the same way with when people, like, I realized how much people paid attention to shoes.
Yeah.
Like, for me, not saying one thing or another, but I grew up, I got Target shoes, and I got them replaced when they wouldn't stay on my feet. That was what shoes did, is you needed them to walk around. It wasn't a fashion statement. It was if your brother didn't wear them out by the time you fit them, you got new shoes.
It was utilitarian.
Yeah. And then, but, oh, man. No, dude. Like most people know, which I later found out, shoes are like traded like baseball cards used to be.
Yeah.
Like they are looked at and coveted, and I look at it, I see a fucking shoe.
Yeah, I still see a shoe. I'm like
people pay attention to that? It really, it's just something
revolves around, I guess, and it's partly the culture.
Yeah.
And it comes from scarcity.
Right, yeah, not having it.
If you look at like especially sneakerheads and you start talking to them, they all came from from backgrounds where you got one pair of shoes And you had to take care of those shoes, and if somebody messed them up, you were going to battle them over it.
But the culture kind of viewed
into
what kind of shoes you were wearing to kind of maybe your status. Like, oh, you're a poor, no have nothing, Target shoe wearing loser. Yeah. And so when they can, buy their shoes, they can show, hey, like cars are, look how expensive my car is, so I'm successful, kind of thing. And because there's no other reason to spend, $2,000 on a pair of shoes.
See, I in fourth grade, maybe it's because I lived in a more urban area.
Yeah.
If you didn't wear Nikes or Adidas, you were poor.
Yeah.
That's why I got beat up for my kangaroos all the time.
But so what? I'm poor.
Yeah, it was.
I
just
didn't
like,
choose
I
to be
don't know,
poor.
I still had 2 quarters in my kangaroos.
Dude, beat my parents up for being poor. I don't have a job.
But
okay,
see,
it's so stupid how we find things.
I got involved with like youth movements. Mm-hmm. So then shoes they become extremely important.
Oh, it's a badge, yeah.
It's part of knowing how far you are into that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I turned into a shoe whore, and I still am.
Oh, and I ended up, I have a bunch. I have 25 pairs of shoes, and I have
like 6 pairs of creepers.
Yeah,
I wear them once a year.
I think I had to try. I'm like, okay, there's got to be something to the shoe thing.
4 or 5 Docs.
So, and it did dawn on me one day. I'm like, okay, I'm an adult. Like, I don't have to wait for these to wear out to buy another pair. Honestly, I had to have that epiphany. Honestly, I swear to God. Like, I'm like, I would only, like, oh, my shoes are, I don't need a pair of shoes. Yeah. And then if one day they were starting to rip or fall apart, I'd be like, okay, I need a pair of shoes. Because that's what shoes were. That's what you did with shoes. And then one day I had that epiphany. I'm like, or I could buy both of these pairs of shoes. I like them both, and I'm trying to decide, right? And I'm like, man, I really like those, but I don't. And I'm like, well, just buy both pairs.
There you go.
Well, wait a minute.
Why don't people wear not matching shoes?
There are people that do. Punky Brewster.
Yeah.
It was really popular and still popular with the Converse.
Oh,
is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Vans.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was.
It's that, and the other thing is mismatched socks is a big deal now.
Right.
Oh, really?
Like we used to wear our clothes inside out for no good reason, just to be different. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, we used to wear them inside out with the tag in the front, so you look like a priest.
Right, and you'd wear your jeans inside out.
I never did that because I could never get them on.
Well, not as a definitive fashion choice, but to kind of be every now and then. Like there was even MTV videos.
Oh, the one that wore all the stuff backwards.
Like crisscross.
Yes.
Why?
Daddy Mac.
But you remember them, and you remember their name.
That's why.
I can't remember any of their songs.
Yeah. Because if you go along with the crowd, you blend in. If you don't and you stand out and you rebel against it, you are an individual. And everybody's struggling to be that individual and do what that person's doing to get noticed, but just do it better so they're the one that gets noticed.
Yeah, and part of that is like you either, it's a balancing point between getting noticed and appreciated and getting hated.
Well, it's maintaining your integrity the whole way.
Yeah.
That's basically the impossible part. You can't get to be the pinnacle, the A-list, without sacrificing that. It's impossible. There's a list that I could hold in one hand of people that have been able to maintain their integrity the entire way, all the way to the top, and still be charitable, still be humble, and not let their ego completely rot their soul away.
Yeah.
And be honest to themselves, basically.
Yes, because
just be themselves.
That's not how things are designed. You're not allowed to get that high unless you are willing to sacrifice.
And usually, at some point, you have to lose your uniqueness to get any further.
Yep. And by uniqueness,
I think one of the
yourself
on a musical level, I think one of the few bands that's been able to do that and kept longevity and still respected is probably the Beastie Boys,
right?
Because they went from being this party thing that was a joke that became kind of oversaturated, and instead of being like the first Vanilla Ice, they came out with repetitive records that were unique, different, and ahead of their time in most cases, and weren't what their audience really wanted.
Well, they started out as a punk rocker.
Punk band.
Yeah, not a very terrible one.
Yeah, most of them are, but yeah.
No, they were on the bottom tier of
right.
of
Well,
New York
that's why,
hardcore.
thankfully, they shifted to rap, and people
which
dug
was
it.
by accident. They
And,
did they did one song and people liked it,
because
and that was where they built.
and they were able to keep producing things that people liked, which is the trick, not just one-hit wonders. But I got to point this out because Beastie Boys got brought up, and it's right on the edge, and you can censor it if you want.
Yeah.
But do a search on this and tell me how close I am to being right. Beastie Boys are one of, if not the only and earliest white Jewish bands that uses the N-word in their music, and no one says a peep.
I don't think they ever did.
See, you are misinformed.
I'd have to sit.
Unlike John Holmes, the X-rated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's not the only time.
Yeah.
So that really tells you that all of this racial thinking thing, it's bullshit, people.
Yeah.
It's manufactured so you hate your neighbor. It
that's
is
what racism is.
bullshit. Bullshit. Anyway, I had to mention that because of Beastie Boys.
Anyway, I think we beat this to death.
Well, that was a little insensitive.
All right.
Anyway.
But till next time, here's hoping all your piercings and tattoos heal with ease without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see if you're tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.
Love each other.